Long ago, an evil dragon appeared in the peaceful empire, killing many people. The humans who were unable to tolerate the evil dragon's carnage decided to subdue it with the help of warriors. Upon being defeated in a fierce battle, the evil dragon cursed both the leader of the warriors and the first emperor of the empire. Following that, the evil dragon died. A few centuries later, the crown prince of this generation was the most powerful person in the history of the empire. However, both his looks and personality turned hideous after his coming-of-age ceremony. He did everything in an attempt to dispel the curse, but to no avail. When he had finally given up on everything and was to be resigned to his fate, the person who appeared before him was... We see a timid blonde girl who says, "Excuse me, Ciel I?" She has something she'd like to say. A person writing responds and asks what about. The blonde girl says about that. She has a lover. The scribbling of the pen comes to a halt as the words register in Ciel I's head. Ciel I is a pretty girl with a diamond face, purple eyes, purple hair, and a black and purple gown. The former says, Ciel I, she really wanted to tell her about it. Ciel I closes her eyes and sighs, saying she sees. Congratulations. Our fifth girl is named Tyel Puratina. Blonde hair and faint green eyes, the tide. She was a beauty. Puratina was the epitome of innocence. She saves the crown prince with her holy purification powers. As the heroine of the novel, the evil dragon doesn't bite. The fact that she, the heroine, is in love means that the original story will begin to take its course. That means she might die soon. Why is the story progressing so quickly? Ciel I breaks into tears. Our girl asks her friend if she is all right. The later responds that she is sorry, and she was a little surprised. She can't help but be surprised. The fact the original plot has began to take its course means that it won't be long till she reaches the guillotine. What does she say to that? Well, to start, she has to first talk about her fiancé. Her fiancé, Duvel Esset, is a villain in the novel. He is a pathetic man who cheats on his fiancée. He harasses the female lead and is put to death by the crown prince, who is the male lead. If he wanted to die, he could have just died alone. Even his wife was dragged to the guillotines with him because they were married. Why does she have to suffer for transmigrating into Ciel I Laverin's body? She tried so hard to not die an unjust death. In order to change the plot, she decided to save the female lead who was suffering from the slums. In the original, the heroine was a loner, so she helped her enter society. All she has to do is break things off with her fiancé. She insults him for his actions. Back in the present, Puratina calls out to Ciel I, who assures her that she's listening, and that's great. Ciel I asks her so, which family is he from? The blonde bends her head down in shame. The purple-headed girl says, perhaps it's the crown prince? Puratina whitens as she says, what? His Highness, the crown prince? She thinks that it's not the crown prince? In the original novel, the crown prince was her first love, though. Ciel I says, well then, who is it? The moron in her family? The former says no. The later says then, Lord Ezekiel? She shouts no. Her friend asks Count Euphana? Our girl says no. Ciel I asks then, who is it? A stiff silence ensures, and Ciel I grows impatient as she says, who the heck is it? Our girl breaks a sweat as she says, well, he is someone who doesn't get along well with her. The friend reflects in the words and thinks a young lord who doesn't get along well with her. She flips her hair in bravado and says, Tyel, doesn't she think it's easier to find someone who is on good terms with her? It's all right, just tell her who it is. Puratina says she's not going to get mad if she tells her, right? The friend assures her, why would she be mad? She promises she won't interfere. The blonde says about that, it's Lord Esset. The purple-haired girl stumbles over her words. Sit? Duvel Esset? That's wait. No, you mean her fiancé? Puratina says Ciel I, she's so sorry, but Lord Esset likes her too. So why don't they both split up for all their sake? Ciel I thinks that Puratina is in love. Why? How? Next, we see a guy who has blue hair walk into the room. Blondie gets up and rushes up to him and says, Lord Esset. Esset says, Ciel I Laverin's you. Ciel I is rendered speechless by his shameless, as she thinks, what? Why is he making that face when he is the one having an affair? Our guy says that since things have come to this, he'll just say it now. He wants her to break off the engagement. Our girl says Ciel I says she's so sorry, but they are still friends, right? The fact that the female lead is in love means that the story has began, but the purple-haired girl thinks, what kind of crazy situation is this? Nightfall comes quickly. We see Ciel I leaning on the ledge of a balcony and sighing. She says that she can't sleep. Well, she guesses it's no wonder she can't sleep, after hearing such absurd things today. She remembers when Puratina asks her if they were still friends. Ciel I thinks that is this something they'd say to a friend after cheating with their fiancé. She thought being close to Lady Tyel might help her avoid the executing ending. She never expected the story to twist like this. And why on earth are all the men around her like this? She insults them. She never experienced these darn situations in her past life too. Why did she get stuck inside this book? Why does she have to go through this? She can't tail this anymore. Let's see how long this lasts. She sighs and says, what's the use of getting angry by herself? While the cheating duo are passed out in bed, she should go in and get some rest too. Next we see the purple-haired girl walking down the hall when a white letter falls on the floor. It is tied with a red rope and it shines. She wonders who's sending a letter at this hour. She reads the letter and says, Ciel I Young A.E. They know that she's busy, but she should please reply. Ciel I says, oh right, she forgot because she's been so busy. She thinks, what should she reply? To help the crown prince and Tyel naturally meet. They asked her for her help as a friend. She thinks, what should she now reply? She sighs, and well, what can she do? She should tell the truth. She writes, hello, crown prince. She is Ciel I Ravelins. She's afraid that she won't be able to assist with his request. Because her prospective fiancé and her fiancé are in such a situation. She stretches on the chair and says that she guesses this reply should suffice. Then she looks confused as she asks out loud, why did the reply come so quickly? The reply reads, what does she mean by that? Since there's no one she's dating from the Puratina family, the palace is discussing her engagement. Ciel I gasps as she says, wait a minute, they asked her to help them meet naturally. So why has it already come to talks of marriage? And on top of that, Tyel is supposed to be engaged to Duval. What on earth is going on? Why is everyone giving her different stories? Esset says that he and Tyel are already engaged. Tyel says that the palace is already pushing for their engagement. If it's going to be like this, why didn't they sort it out between themselves? Oh, if she brings it up to wither of them. She glares and admits that she is getting frustrated. She wonders if they think she'll just put up with them like she did in her past life. It's at this point that we realize that our main girl isn't Puratina, but is Ciel I, our purple-haired girl. She thinks that she can't stand being treated like a fool anymore. She continues to write as she thinks that if it continues like this, it's going to be a mess. She writes, greeting, Your Highness. She, Ciel I Ravelins, from the Ravelins family. She apologizes for bringing up this in her first letter, but it seems his alleged fiancé has become involved with his betrothed. She asks, shall they meet briefly? Or when might he have some time? She hums in thought. She continues to say, whatever. If everyone else is going wild, why can't she? Why don't we have an affair, us victims of cheating partners? In the warm sunlight, with the birds chirping in the peaceful morning, everything is bright and beautiful, but her life is in shambles. Ciel I says that it's been a week since she received the letter and response from the crown prince. She shouldn't have sent it. She shouldn't have sent it. Days of agony pass fleeting by. She tosses on her bed and asks if they are all right. Are they out of her mind? She's done. She's going to be arrested for lese majeste. Lese majeste is a crime or offense against a sovereign power, often involving actions that violate the dignity of a ruler who represents that power. Is what she thought, but he's completely ignored her letter. She thinks to herself that, well, in any case, Tyel is the protagonist, right? Cheating or not, it'll just be swept under the rug as love, right? Damn female lead buff. Yes, whether it's 2 or 3, may she have a lovely romance. New voice says, Miss, may I come in? Our girl says yes, may come in. May is a maid with brown hair and brown eyes. She asks if she is feeling all right, and she heard that our girl skipped breakfast again. May brings a tray of snacks and says, Ciel I should have this sandwich at least. Our girl tells her thank you. She thinks that's right. She should eat. She needs to keep living. She got what she wanted and broke off the engagement with that Duval bastard. So she should be satisfied. She notices May crying and asks her why is she crying. May says our miss is so distraught she can barely eat. Yet how can those two act like nothing's wrong? She just can't. She can't. She just can't stand by and watch. May's outburst shocks Ciel I to her core. May says that she'll destroy them both. Our girl tells her to calm down and she is fine. May interrupts her and says no, she is not fine. That's why, miss, she found a way to annihilate those two. Our female lead says that this is, and trails off in shock. The maid says that it's the emblem of the Ciel Love Manipulation Guild. May notices Ciel I expression asks her if she hasn't heard of it. May explains that when she hears the name, it sounds like a place that helps with love, but it's the opposite. It's an underground guild at the forefront of exposing affairs, and their reviews are fantastic. Her husband, who's been coming home late, thanks to this guild she kicked him out, and we're in the middle of divorce proceedings. She used the guild and got sick. She was trying to catch an affair, but it messed up her household. May urges Ciel I for them to leave and annihilate them. Our girl tells the maid to wait a minute. May tells her to hurry and get dressed. They leave the castle and soon they arrive. May tells our heroine that she brought her here, but she needs to be careful. Ciel I looks around confused and asks why. May says actually, there's a rumor that the guild master here is dangerous. Our girl echoes dangerous. May tells her yes, and she heard if he's pissed off, he turns people into dolls, and he tails cheating men and tortures them in the basement. So she has to be careful. Well, rumors tend to be exaggerated, but May never completed her statement because a green-haired man appeared and completed it. With a friend face, he says to some extent they're true. May jumps into. Our girl says the man startled her. Ciel I says who is he? He says that he is the guild master they were just talking about. They've come here for a request, haven't they? However, their guild is only available to clients. Which one of them is the client? May fiddles and says that she didn't hear anything about that. He says, but whoever the client, there are no exceptions to this rule. May looks sad and says she apologizes for bringing her here. They should go back. It's too dangerous for her to go in this place alone. Our girl assures her and says that it's fine and she is not a child. May protests, but our girl tells her that once they're done, she'll call a carriage. May shouldn't worry. May tells the guild leader to, please, they should take good care of their miss. The green-haired man says that May shouldn't worry. He'll attend to her sincerely. The maid tells him that it's just their miss's feelings are very fragile, so if she asks him to cancel the request halfway through or go easy on them, he mustn't listen. He says just who has fragile feelings? Oh, he will do his utmost. May starts to leave and turns around to say that she's relying on her. She must properly punish those people. R says she will see May later. The duo left standing exchange a tense look, and he says she should allow him to guide her this way. Next, we see a library full of books, and the duo walk in to see people in dark cloaks moving about holding books and talking among themselves. The girls in cloaks says, "Oh, he's arrived, master." The guild leaders asks, how shall they deal with the fiancé and his mistress? Ciel I sighs and says no, he should leave them be for now. More importantly, she'd like an explanation. He asks, how did the existence of this guild become known far and wide? Whoever leaked the information should come out right now. She says that she will annihilate them first. The guild leader says that Leatherner, he's been acting as master till now. When did he say to expand the business? But master, the income was too lucrative to stay out of it. Our girl yell him to sit up straight. He bows his head and says he wants to resign. He says that she should see this cozy master's room. He's carefully decorated it with the recent commission. Our girl call him lighter. If he wants her praise, he shouldn't decorate the display case. He should find her proof that the two-legged man is cheating on her. Lighter doesn't say anything as he prostrates on the floor. She calls his name again and says that she's told him every time. The reason she created this guild was to break up with Duval. Her ex-husband's infidelity is no secret to social circles, but just having rumors isn't enough for a breakup. In her office, our girl sits behind a table as Lighter stands before her, offering an explanation. He say, but even after gathering this much information, they haven't found much. It seems like the Viscount Esset is using the Dark Guild to erase the evidence. Should he try infiltrating their side? She says, that's a no-go. It's too dangerous. She thinks that since Duval already suggested breaking up from his side, there's probably no need to do that. She places her head on two of her crossed fingers, saying, anyway, he should keep looking for the evidence. He says yes, and he understands. And, oh, master, what's up with her hesitating? Is something wrong? For the past few days, an unusual guest has been coming to see them. She echoes an unusual guest? He says that he knows that he's not the master of this guild. She says, how in the world did he... Why does he want to see her? The guild master replies that, someone asked him to have a revenge affair. He had something to ask about that. She thinks, huh? An affair revenge? No way, right? We see our girl wearing formal clothes with a mask covering only her eyes and a cloak on her head. She thinks that there's no way the crown prince would come to a place like this, but just in case, it might be a good idea to use a transformation artifact. Hen, she says out loud, good idea. Then she thinks with that, he won't be able to recognize her by her voice or appearance, if the duke's young lady is found to be the master of the guild. Now, shall they find out who this unusual guest is? She opens the door and walks into a room with a scent in the air. She thinks that this is the scent of roses. Did he put on perfume? We see a blond man wearing black and white formal clothes with a black and gold mask covering his face. He asks her if she is the master of this guild. She says, yes, that's correct. She wonders, who is he? With looks like this, they'd be the talk of the town. And the color of his eyes? He has piercing golden eyes. She wonders, golden eyes? Was there a character like this in the original work? He tells her to take off her mask. She says, what? He repeats himself. She gets offended and says that if that's all he has to say, then she'll go now. He tells her to wait a moment. He apologizes. He was rude out of curiosity to confirm her identity. She wonders that is the perfume scent gone? She says yes, well, she accepts his apology. So what does he want to ask her? He asks her that she'll keep this a secret. Won't she? She says, of course, without that, she can't do business. He says that it's just a few days ago. Then he interrupts himself and says, no, someone he knows received a letter from a young lady. Her fiancé and their prospective fiancé were having an affair. She thinks, huh? Wait a minute, this story sounds strangely familiar. It's like her story. Then he says, so she suggested having an affair. She thinks it's her story, isn't it? So the person in front of her is the crown prince? He tells her that, but there's a problem. She thinks that he's here for advice because of the letter she sent? Darn, things just got... He says, wait a moment, the person he knows doesn't have a prospective fiancé. She thinks, huh? He doesn't have a prospective fiancé? They should calm down. In that case, this person isn't the crown prince. She's confirmed multiple times that Tyel is engaged to him. He asks her if she is listening. Then she says, yes, please continue. He says that he's had his fair share of proposals, but he received a proposal for an affair for the first time. He plays with his cup of tea, as he says that he's curious about why the other party made such a suggestion and what was she thinking. He says that he heard she is an expert on these matters, so he wanted to ask. She thinks, oh, come on, is he really saying that about her? She says that in her opinion, it seems like that young lady misunderstood something. Maybe she thought he had a fiancé or something. He says no. It's not a misunderstanding, given his social status. She says that his social status? She thought he was talking about an acquaintance. He says anyway, someone won't propose an affair to just anyone, so he wondered if she might have considered him special. She wonders, could it be? Is the answer already set, and all she has to do is respond? To think he'd spend money to ask such a question. Well, thank you. She gushes and tells him, yes, dear customer, it seems like that young lady thinks highly of him. He says that he guesses so. Well, then he thinks he should accept her proposal. She thinks that she's suddenly a little envious, even if he doesn't know who that young lady is. From what she's heard, it seems like she made the proposal to her crush. She even made up a fiancé who doesn't exist, and he's not even mad. Rather, he is seriously considering her proposal. She asks him if he can tell her who is this young lady that sent him the letter. He asks, why should he do that? She says that young Lazy or her fiancé might come to visit their guild. Duplicate, he interrupts her and says he wants to give her one warning. If there happens to be any requests related to that young lady, it's better not to trust them. She says no. Of course not. But who is she? He asks if he is mistaken in sensing an impure and private intent in her question. She says yes. It's a mistake, dear customer. She's just here to help him with everything up to the point. He tells her this won't work, and she should get up. The command takes our girl by surprise as she thinks, what? Why is her body like this? He says that she should forget everything he said today. She trembles and says yes. He says, then can he know now? He walks to her with the intent of removing her mask. He says, who us underneath this mask? Our girl back away in fear as her eyes widen in horror. She thinks that she can't move her body. What the heck is he doing? She cannot. She has to hold on. If the mask falls, her identity will be exposed. This means that shouldn't happen. Her ability not working, she scratches the back of her head and says, oh, sorry, but what did he say? She thinks what happened. What was this, a while ago? He says that she said she would come visit from time to time. Well, now she has to go. She says he is welcome any time, sir. Be careful when he gets home. He says that he can't control himself. He wonders, why is his ability not working? He admits to himself that he can't control himself and he must wait and watch. Next we see our girl and the guild leader. He says, oh, madam, what prompted her to work 2 days in a row? She says May bothers her when she is at home. She's had weird headaches since yesterday, but she doesn't want to be sick anymore. He says, May, she means the maid she came with yesterday? She says yes. She interrogated her and if she has made the right order. In their conversation, the maid says that Ciel I didn't make the request, right? She just came, right? Our girl lies through her teeth that she's done, and she wonders why May doesn't believe her. He says, well, why doesn't she tell the maid the truth? She says he would believe her if she told him. To her, she's just a weak girl inside and out, and she needs someone to sell to her. He says that both his body and mind are weak. She asks him if he is laughing at her. Huh? Is he laughing at her? He hides his laughter and says, oh my God, and oh no, he's just surprised. Did she hear what people say? Mrs. Lavrans was said, yo, be a weepy person, and she apologizes if she stepped on the flowers by mistake. Oh, his God, actually, he's going to make a doll and curse her. Then our girl interrupts him by shouting, oh, that's not the case. Then he points at the doll she is holding and asks, what's up with the doll? Who makes dolls in human form except for the purpose of cursing? She argues that it's up to her and there is no curse in the doll. He asks, is it really not cursed? He says that he's sure he heard her describe her orders for all dolls. Blonde hair that looks like melted gold and a narrow lower lip as if asking for a kiss. Thin ears. She realizes that she can remember that. Then he says that if she's not describing a specific person, why does she go into such details? He doesn't know who the person is, but if they found out about this, they will freak out. She caresses the doll and says that's right. She doesn't have an excuse. Head and heir of this novel, it is just a doll designed by Renos. She thinks, but it's about her favorite person. There is no such thing as a curse. She can't say this in detail. She gets up and keeps the doll inside a cupboard and says that he should talking and she must go out now. He asks out? To where? Is she going alone? Do she want him to do something for her? She says dismissively that it's no big deal. It's a personal thing. He echoes personal? She says, yes, it is. If he follows her, she will end him. He screams, my lady, at her words. Next, we see our main female with the maid. May says that the continental maps, compasses, foreign texts, travel notes, migration guides, will she buy all of it? Our girl calls the maid's name and says only her will know that. She will soon leave the empire. The maid says what? Why is she saying all of that of a sudden? Our girl says she will tell her parents herself. The maid asks if Ciel I thinks they will let her go. A man in a tux with gray interrupts them. He says, Miss, he is sorry to interrupt their conversation, but a guest came to see her. Ciel I says yes, a guest, but she has no plans to visit for today. The man says, well, he doesn't who it is, but he says he has something the miss should know. The guildmaster says, how strange, anonymous guest. Is he going to talk about Duval? Did something happen while he was going to buy this? Our girl says they should tell him to come. The two females leave the room in the same stride. A man greets them by saying, hello, miss. Our girl acknowledges his features. Blonde hair, golden eyes shine more than gold. The crown prince, her perfect man, and her favorite Renos? She thinks, oh no. This is not the time for reflection. He hasn't answered her messages for a week. Why is he here all of a sudden? She feels that he thinks that he can't believe she sent those messages to him without reserve. She wonders if he came to take her life. The butler asks her if she knows this person. She says, well, yes. He says, so he'll take the visitor to the living room. She tells him, yes, please. Then she stops him by saying, wait a minute. The blonde guy offers her a bouquet of roses and says this is for her. She receives them with a smile and thanks him very much. Then she asks him, so should they go in? He doesn't say anything in return. Inside the castle, they sit on blue sofa across from each other with cups of tea on the table. She plays with the flowers. He calls her Miss Lavrins and says that he came without an appointment and didn't even call, but he received him well, though. What would she do if he was a dangerous person? She wonders if this is a trick question. She can't say that she knows he's the crown prince, because the crown prince's appearance is extremely small. She says that the person who brought her these beautiful flowers can't be dangerous. Wouldn't he come to Hortadia's at night? Is he wanted to hurt her? He responds that, well, she doesn't know what's in this world. So she is planning to take a long trip. She wonders, yes, how does he know that? Oh, did he see the baggage she gave May? She asks him in return, so what about the offer he made for her? Didn't he want to go on an adventure? He tells her that he is here to accept her proposal, miss. She looks down at the floor and says, His Highness, the Crown Prince. He should forgive her for her belated greeting. He smiles and says, good. It's strange that she doesn't recognize him. Even the people in the palace know his face. That was why it was not easy to invite her to the imperial palace. He apologizes for the sudden visit. She says in excuse, it is not necessary for the person who gave her such a beautiful gift to do so. Then she thinks she is doing her best in social life. She says that it was gifted to her by a wonderful gentleman like His Highness, so she thinks that she looks prettier now. He takes the tea after studying her face and take a huge gulp. He admits that the tea is good as he touches his forehead. Then he asks her if he can ask her something. He says that this tea, She interrupts him and takes a gulp of her own tea and thinks the crown only drank tea and now wants to scold her. If he discovers her, she will die. She laughs awkwardly and says that it is a kind of oriental tea. Although it is originally colorless, they say that each person can feel a different flavor. She thinks she's displaying master's degree in social life. He says good. It's better to take it to the imperial palace. She laughs again awkwardly and breaks a sweat. She says so, since they will meet from now on, it'd be better to say hello formally. He says he will start. He says that his name is Renos Lor Aren. As she knows, he is the crown prince of this empire. She says that her name is Ciel I, only daughter of the Labyrinth family. From now on, she wished him the best for the future, His Highness. He reaches for her and calls her Miss, so from today they will start to be lovers. He fondles with her hair and looks at her with a wolfish smile as she blanches at his request. He asks her again if they are in love. She argues that isn't it. He says that he sees. He looks down as she reddens and thinks, what? Is he ashamed? She wonders if he is without shameless or is he shy? Can he only do one of them? She clears her throat and says, so they shout, set a time period for betrayal. Oh, and there are some conditions too. He echoes conditions? She says yes, it is a contract with a clear purpose. Until he broke up with Duval Isset, they will keep this contract. What about him, Your Highness? She thinks there was no way he would break up with Tyrell. Since High is cursed, he will need a purifier. She asks him if he is aiming to win back his fiancé. He goes wordless for a while. He gets up and turns his back to her and says there is something he wants to ask her about. He looks to the window and asks her in a tentative voice that what if he didn't actually have a fiancé? He asks, will their contract be concluded? She looks confused and asks, huh? Doesn't he have a fiancé? So he doesn't have to sign this contract with him, right? He says, yes, that's right, and she should please forget what he said now. He will accept her contract. If she breaks off her engagement with Duval Esset, he will maintain this relationship until his fiancé returns to him. He says that she should please take good care of him, miss. She says, you too, Your Highness. then shake hands. He takes that they'll have to act like lovers. He'd better decide with her how close they are to each other. To this limit and clasps their fingers together. He asks her if he can do this and she says yes, of course. So that? He pulls her closer to himself and she says of course, it's okay. He says so and tips his head downward to kiss her forehead and he makes her blush. The scene is too intimate for our girl and turns her head away from him. He smirks and they should pretend like this from now on. No. Then he moves backward and says, so he's leaving now. She wonders what was that? She calls out to him using his title. He casts her a sideway glance as his golden eyes sparkle in the sun. She says after doing the contract, could he listen to her request? In Rima Salam, a woman with a silver asks guys, did you hear this? Did they hear that the master of the Isit family now has a new mistress? A red-headed girl with her hair in a ponytail says to the group that, what's wrong with him? Has it been a day or two since this? The first girl says that they should listen until the end, this new mistress, well, and she trails off. The scene fades and we see the cheating duo. The ladies gossiping the happenings sees them and mutter to themselves, pointing at the duo and saying it's there. Look, Puritina thanks Duval, calling him sweetheart and thanking him for taking her here. Duval kisses the back of her palm and says thank you as well. He says that he is glad to be able to accompany her. The brunette among the gossiping ladies says to her companions, she asks if his new lover is Miss Puritina. The news irritates the redhead, and she says how much Miss La Rarent cared for Miss Puritina. It were not for Miss La Parent, Miss Puritina would not have been able to enter society. Does Miss Labyrinth know about this? The brunette's eyes widen in surprise as she says that there would be a problem if she found out. She hopes she doesn't fall for this. So they shouldn't say anything in front of Miss La Rainette. The women share eye contact and they all break a sweat as their faces reddened. Next, our main couple, Ciel I and Renos, walk into the shop. The women blanch at the sight, clear surprise etched on their faces. Ciel I thanks our guy for taking him, and he tells her that there's no need for her to thank him. The two couples bump into each other, and the men stare each other down. Puritina breaks a sweat as she says Scylla. Duval closes his eyes and says that he hopes Miss Labyrinth enjoys her time. Our girl wonders if he is angry. How does he feel when he's experienced it himself now? Then blonde guy by her side says that he'll go too. Ciel I says that she will see him later. The cheating female calls out to our girl and says she's been waiting for the day. They'll meet. She guessed they didn't have a proper conversation at that time. Our girl tells her coldly that, well, does she and her have anything else to say to each other? The response stuns Puritina, who looked genuinely confused and surprised. She reaches for our girl and tells her to wait a minute. They're still together. The brunette among the ladies says Miss Labyrinth. She walks over to them and says to the cheating female that it looks like she's looking for a place. This makes Puritina break a sweat as she looks apprehensive. At the gossip table, one of the ladies asks what Miss Puritina thinking about. If she knew what was good for her, wouldn't she know she shouldn't do this? Our girl Ciel I is wordless on the dinner table. The redhead laughs teasingly as she says, Miss, by the way, she is just curious. Who was that man of before? Our female protagonist gives them a small smile and says, oh, he's just an oppa she knows from the temple. However, brother to this temple. He accompanies her everywhere, Reno's Lore Aaron. By this time, our main guy had trampled on Duval's pride. Later in the evening, we see our girl with her maid. She asks her maid for the whereabouts of her guy, but the maid shakes her head in negative. She thinks, though, herself that this is not enough to break up. Why is there no news? Our girl says that she thinks that they need to strike hard. Next, we a black and gold card in her hands. It reads to His Highness the Crowned Prince. Why doesn't he go with the writer to buy clothes tomorrow? We see our girl and the maid in the castle. May questions our girl on what is the man that hangs around her these days doing. And is it true? Ciel I asks May where did she hear that from. May asks in return from where did she hear that. The news is viral these days. So, who is he, miss? Our girl refuses to respond, and May looks offended that she can't tell her. She asks her why can't she tell her. He is not some silly, right? Our female hero smiles and says he is, and she is having an affair with him. The maid screams, "What?" Our girl argues that Duke Duval is having an affair too, so why can't she do the same? The news baffles May, who says, "Oh, miss." With a serious expression, our girl tells her maid to stop arguing, that not going to change anything. May shouts no and goes toe-to-toe with our female protagonist. She holds her hand that she totally agrees with her affair. But if she going to, she gotta do it with someone with high standards. Ciel I laughs nervously. She calls May by her name and says that she really wants to stay and listen to her. But it's late now. May says, "Lady, he should be handsome and rich, for example, His Majesty the Prince." We see our main guy in the room with them, wearing a royal attire with a smirk on his face. Our main girl's eyes widen and wonders, since when was he here? She can't believe that he heard everything May had to say. May continues to speak oblivious of the effects of her words. She says that the man they don't even know where he from. R turns and tells her to stop. May argues that he is totally not qualified. Even if he appeared with flowers, he would still be nothing to His Majesty, the Prince. It seems that May is praising the prince so much that she is oblivious that the prince is the one her lady is having an affair with. May burst into tears, and our girl covers her face in shame and calls out her name. The prince smirks as he says, "Hello, Lady Lovrins." It's him, the prince. Next, we see our girl, two mains in a carriage, sitting across from each other. Our guy says that it seems that her maid loves her so much. Our girl burst into laughter. He further says that to have an affair with her, he should be the prince. Seems pretty goof for him. She says that her maid is not a bad person and he should please forgive her. He says no need to worry, he doesn't feel offended. Like she said, that person should have high standards, because he is the only one that has these characteristics in the emperor. What does she think? She thinks that after all, he is a human being, so he would like to be flattered, so should she give her best social skills. She smiles and cheekily says yes, she thinks so. He is the most handsome guy she has ever seen. In the whole emperor, no one in the world. He knows that, right? He can lose his conscience while look at someone very handsome. He tells her to stop. He covers his face and grimaces as he says that he got her so she can stop. She laughs teasingly as she wonders if he is embarrassed. Seems like he has some cute side. The carriage driver says that they have arrived. The duo get out of the carriage, look stunning in their royal outfits. Someone says, "Shall we come in?" In a large building with glass windows, a woman with pink hair says welcome. She addresses our girl as Miss Lavrins. Why did she come without telling her? Our girl thinks that since she was terrified seeing her, the rumors are true. Duval the bastard, seems he came to match a dress with Tyel. Let's see if she can handle the embarrassment in front of everyone. Our girl says that she got to search for some clothes. The pink-haired woman curtsy and says, "Yes, miss, she is sorry." What should she do? The store is under maintenance. She bows her head and says that she's sorry, but she should please come another day. Our girl smiles and says that this is weird and she already smiled and welcomed her, right? And the store looks pretty clean, that it doesn't need any maintenance. The other shop attendants fumble around and look uneasy. Our girl asks now, shall she get it? The pink-haired woman says, yes, please. The duo enter the shop, and she thinks that look forward that Duval, she will strike hard today. A male shop attendant attends to her. He says that this is the new product. They should please have a look. Our guy says to our girl, okay, and she comes here a lot? She says sometimes, but usually she comes just to see clothes. The blonde says that they are trying to prevent them from bumping into each other. She steps to him and says, but they are here to do so. She says no, that our girl breaks a sweat as she thinks what she wall him outside. She can't call him by his name. Renos, he says that she can call him Renos, miss. She blushes and says, all right, Renos. We see Duval screaming. What is she doing here? Our mains exchange glances. He says, look at that Ciel I, answer me. He asks her if this is her lover. She reaches for him and our mains embrace as she smugly tells her ex that, of course, she and Renos are too close. She asks him, can he see that? Her ex says he lost just like she desires. She asks him, what does he mean by losing? He scratches his head and says, right, he will do whatever she wants. Regardless, the girl he was dating here, she is the only one he desperately loves. He goes as far as to ask her if she understands. Our girl breaks a sweat as she asks, "What is this?" She says in her head that this doesn't make sense. Our girl's ex looks dizzy. He says that regardless guys she has met until now, still he loves her so much. She asks what? Our main guy insults the male ex. Duval, getting crossed in seconds, tells the prince a piece of his mind. He says that he doesn't know from where the prince came from, but he should leave before he loses his mind even further. The prince looks bored of the conversation and tells him that he wants to try, and it's okay with him. Our girl gets in their middle and tells them to stop that already. Then she winks at our main guy. She wonders, why is he obsessed with acting? Some calls her name and she thinks Tyel. A pretty blonde girl wearing pink appears. Her bright green eyes makes her look innocent. Our girl wonders, wait, is this dress? Her thought process wanders away. The newcomer calls her name again and asks, why did she leave last night? Nothing happened, right? Our girl wonders that the dress that she's matching today was for the engagement. The blonde girl approaches Ciel I and puts her hand around her while our female protagonist wonders that, so that man Duval did, he come to see the engagement dress and at the same time confessed to her? She questions his sanity. The blondie says, wait, Ciel I. She had a question from long ago. She stares at the prince and asks, who is he? He looks at her with boredom. Duval grabs our girl by her hand and tells her to follow him while he's still in his mind, and she protests. She tells him that she has nothing to say to him and he should leave her alone. Our guy says to Duval, from where has he learned to do whatever he wants with someone else's lover? Duval commands the prince to leave and that Ciel I is his fiancé. Our girl says, come on, Duval. What he just said won't be a shame toward this woman wearing the engagement dress. Puritina looks disheartened as she squeezes the dress in her finger and says, Mr. Isset, what is he talking about? Duval casts a hasty look at her and says, Miss Puritina, let him explain. Our female protagonist cuts him short and says, no, Tyel, she will explain. Mr. Isset came here and told her that he still loves her. Puritina's voice sounds shaky as she asks if this is true. Duval argues and says, no, he didn't say that, darling. Puritina breaks down into tears. She uses her hand to clean her eyes as she says that he promised her marriage. And he told her that he doesn't love Ciel I anymore. Duval argues and says, of course, she is the one who he loves. She shouldn't listen to these lies. Our girl echoes lies. She says that she didn't lie. They are friends, Tyel. Duval tries to force Puritina out the door and says that should talk outside. She says that she doesn't want to. Next, we see Sun kiss the castle as sunset draws near. Our girl sighs in relief as she says that she expected that, but she's tired. The prince chuckles beside her. She feels that it's like she took the protagonist's place, but anyway, she won, right? Our guy says that how did Miss ended up with someone like him? She tells him that it's because of family business. He says that it's obvious that Isset won't let her go. She assures him and says that he was the one suggesting the divorce. She finished the registration and she brought a magic tool for the registration. He says that at this rate, good luck. Then she says, oh, she has a question. His Majesty and Tyel have never met before, even so the engagement was going to be done. He sighs and says, right. She asks, what does he think after seeing Tyel today? Did his heart beat fast? She remembers that was the same thing in the original novel. Just after His Majesty meet Tyel, his heart beats fast. That is how he fell in love. He says his heart beat because he was with her, miss. He looks her dead in the eye and he says this showing how serious he is. It was his pleasure in acting that he is her lover. She says that her honor, she was also happy that His Majesty calls her lover. Then she thinks that social life is hard, even if it was fake. She wishes they finish this acting as soon as possible. He says, right, this will be done soon. She thinks that after all this tragedy, won't the divorce be done soon? Even Duval won't be able to handle this. Impossible. But maybe. He has his own way of hurting. The door to our girl's office open and someone shouts that the person can't come in like that. Someone greets her and calls her name. She looks up from her writing. We see Duval, who says he is here to tell her that he's not willing to divorce. Our girl thinks that he was rational at some point, but in the end, he is just a stupid baby. The two stare each other down. She stare each other down. He is saying that he doesn't want to divorce. They already had an agreement between them, and since there is still an evidence for that, they can't break the law. In a flashback, we see Duval with Puratina in his hands as he says that he is telling her that he wants to divorce. He screams since when. He throws down a glass hair clip as he asks her what if she doesn't have it now. She places her hand under her chin as she says, it's okay. She has plenty of them. We see another glass hair clip in her hand with a holograph of him saying that he wants to divorce. He says she doesn't even know why. Okay if she is desperate, and then he sighs and bows his head. He says that he will take of her lover for leaving her. She scoffs in disbelief as she says, right? This is ridiculous. Why doesn't he just tell his fiancé? He interrupts her and says no. She is his fiancé, Ciel I. She looks at him as if he has gone mad. She laughs. She says that people will this, that he is the perfect man. Okay, if he doesn't want to send the letter, she will do it instead of him. He tells her that it seems like she's forgotten something. Would her parents allow her? Doesn't she remember when they were like beggars? And the one that revived them, she might have forgotten that. Her family can't escape his, so it's not her choice to choose. She looks at him annoyed as she she sees it was always about money. He thinks that she can't pay that amount? This is ridiculous. If he has the time to argue with her, he should go write that letter already. She is giving him 3 days. If he doesn't send it, then he shouldn't even think to socialize again. He say you. Then our girl screams maid, accompany their guest. He is leaving. A person in a black suit says to Duval from the door that they should go before she gets mad. He already knows how scary she is when she is angry. Duvla clenches his hand so hard that the knuckles turn white. He tells her that she will regret that, Ciel. She'll see. Then he walks out of the room and slams the door. Then May opens the door and peeks into and asks if Ciel is okay. She walks in and notices the mess on the floor and says that, oh my God, the glass is broken. Did she get hurt? Our female protagonist says no, she is okay. She bends down to clean it. Our girl says, May, how could she clean it with her naked hands? May assures her that she is all right. Oh, what is important? She didn't get any answer yet. After he sent a message to the Count Valton, our girl says that she asked him to sign the divorce letter, so the answer came a little late, but here is a letter for her. The maid says that she intended to read the name, but the handwriting is too bad. Our girl takes the letter, says, it's Liz's handwriting. She hums as she reads it. Say says, is that true? R calls the maid's name and asks her if she can get some clothes of a promenade. The maid says no. Where is she going? She says to catch the escaped old man. Next we see that it is daybreak. Someone says, all right, this is weird. He should be here by now. Next we see our main girl and Guy. Our Guy says that it has been 1 hour. Didn't she get bored? She tells him that she is all right and she is afraid that Renos may have heard a hard time because of her. She tells him that he didn't have to come. He says that may be dangerous. There is no danger. All she needs is to get the signature of divorce. To complete the divorce, he needs the signature of the notary who attended the engagement ceremony. He says that he heard that Iset family and the Count Valton are close. She shouldn't let her guard down, miss. She says that she prefers to be in danger and meet our blonde Guy than meeting with him. He says she doesn't that. She says, right, why would he think of that? He goes silent. He holds her hand and our girl says, Mr. Renos. He tells her to come here. Did she like candies? She says yes, she likes it, but it's cotton candy, right? He says that he heard that eating candies would help her get herself. She asks him, how did he know it's candy? Does he have it in the palace? Isn't just street candy? He says no, he just heard of that. That's why he knew it. Our girl holds a fluffy piece of candy to herself. She says that she should wash it before it, but she's in trouble because there's no water source. He asks, wash candies? She says yes, it's good for his health. Oh, shall they wash it there? Our heroine directs their attention to a fountain. He clarifies the fountain. She says, come on, Renos, with a cheeky smile. She asks him if he would do it for her. He tells her that he will if she wants him to. He plucks a piece of the delicious sugary snack and dips it into the fountain water. It disappears in seconds. He says that the candy disappeared. She laughs at how cute he looks as he is sad. He asks Miss, they should not wash that, right? She laughs. And then she says that she's sorry. She's just kidding with him. She calls his name, winks, and says that he has a cute side. In a flashback, we see a man in a cloak, and he thinks, wait a moment. He is. Yes, he's sure that he is the Count Valent. The duo exchange eye contact. We see a man in a cloak walking through a busy alley. He thinks that what? He feels like someone is following him. Impossible. He breaks a sweat, grits his teeth, and looks lost in thought. Our girl Ciel I appears in front of him and puts her hand on her waist. He says as fear cripples him. She places her hand on her chest and offers him a warm smile as she says, hello, Count Valentine. He's been avoiding responding to her, so he should prove his vision. He thinks that, oh man, instead of running away now. Our guy appears in their midst wearing a blue suit. The Count looks surprised at the sight of Reno's. The Count breaks a sweat as he stands between them. Next, we see our girl with the Count. She says that it was very difficult to find the Count. She asks him if he'd been hiding in a place like this. He breaks a sweat. She asks him if he is trying to escape. Why? She tells him that he can't go anywhere, so he should run with her. An in-depth conversation about breakup rhetoric. He says, Mist, he will be honest. He cannot sign the separation letter. We see our guy leaning on the wall just beside them. Valentine says that with this signature he will have an evil quarrel with the Marquis. She says that he can so right away, Count. Since when did he say he was so close to the Iset family? She tells him to be honest and asks if Duval Iset bribed him. He asks her what is she missing. He just hopes her relationship recovers. She remains wordless at his words. She clenches her hand as she places it in her lap and said that she can't help it because she doesn't think she can understand them. As a member of the Lavrin family, there is no other way. She says this with her hand over heart that shows purple. Then she says if that's what he wants instead of a good conversation, she'll be happy to oblige. Reno's panics and says, Miss. The Count backs away in fear and screams with sweat dripping down his face. Next, dark purple hands come out of the air and drags him. He screams help as he tries to get away. His cap falls to the ground and he follows soon after in a heap. Our girl's body is bright purple and Renos tries his best to calm her down. He calls her name countless times and asks, what if she fainted like this? Then we see her thoughts. Damn, she was so angry at him for telling her such an obvious lie. The Count trembles in fear on the floor and asks, isn't that an abuse of power, huh? She bullied and intimidated him and Eve at that time during the sermon. Our girl admits in her thoughts that she feels dizzy and she's just trying to use her skills, but she's so exhausted. Renos calls out to her and says, let's go back now. She goes to argue as she says, but then he says no, she will come back with him. He makes her seat in a nearby chair and tries to call her down. He says that it doesn't seem like she'll be able to talk to him anyway. She says okay, she'll go back and find another way. He echoes other way. She says she will find a way to break up without his signature. The Count from a dark corner asks, isn't it the only way? He says that without the notary's signature, even the royal family cannot annul a marriage. The dark shadow comes for him again, and he crouches down in his seat and screams. Our girl says in a deadly tone that they will see whether he will break up or not. Next, we see an office with a large red chair and brown and black furniture. Our girl says, damn it, Duval, he brought the Count? She holds a Reno's doll, as she thinks that she thought she would use her powers to get the signature yesterday, but now that she thinks about it, in fact, she was about to get into trouble. If Ray hadn't stopped her, she doesn't know what kind of problems she would face. She holds the doll in the air as she says thank you, but what can she do now? Wait, is she sure he brought Count Valentin with his money? He was the person who would move because of the money. The guild leader arrives and he says, hello, my lady. Did she not like the message he sent her last time? She says yes, she will acknowledge the power of his information. He says that this is always the truth. He says that her servant has brought her another piece of news. One day a woman asked him for help in divorcing her cheating husband. In the letter, the woman writes that she wants a divorce from her husband. He is having an affair. He had a secret relationship with a certain girl for a long time. She's embarrassed, but her husband's name is... Then our girl says Count Valentine? The guildmaster says yes, and he checked on his cheating partner. It was Lila Iset. She thinks that the partner is Duval's sister, isn't she? Next, we see someone giving a coin and says, "Hey, Leather, does he have any sold evidence for this?" Someone takes the pin and says, "Of course, ma'am." We see a holograph of the Count and Layla as they hold each other too close for comfort. She says her current, who does he love more, him or his wife? He says that of course he loves her, Mrs. Albacete. By the Roman, he would have divorced his wife in the village. Then our guildmaster says to our girl that he was very happy last night, and she says that it's enough. She can't listen to it. Then she hums and says somehow, if Miss Iset and the Count were in that connection, it would be worth taking Dovsel's side. It's going to be easier than she thought. He hums and asks her, is there anything she wants to tell him? She says that our Union VP Lil is the best. He smiles. So does it appear faster? Case solved in this guild? The sun glistens over the castle, illuminating a golden-haired boy with striking green eyes. He gently shares that the owner of Borderia has a hand in the museum's success, as his will has significantly increased the value of their artworks. The crowd buzzes with admiration about the last Count, Duval Iset, a true connoisseur of artists. Among the onlookers, a girl with bright purple hair bows her head, trying to stay unnoticed. Beside her stands Duval, accompanied by a girl who looks remarkably like him, sharing the same blue hair and eyes, their outfits matching perfectly. He humbly accepts the crowd's praise, with one enthusiastic supporter declaring him the true champion of artists. The blue-haired girl catches the attention of several guests, and a particular young man blushes, completely captivated by her beauty. Nearby, a green-eyed woman with black hair watches her companion openly admire the blue-haired girl. Just then, a man sidles up to the green-eyed woman and whispers her name, Countess Valentine. She turns, puzzled, and nods. As he leans closer to her ear, her expression turns grim with each word he utters. Clutching her jewelry to her chest, she watches a holograph appear, revealing a compromising scene involving the blue-haired woman and her partner. The man claims to have none other than Mrs. Iset, confessing his love for her. Countess Valentine, feeling a wave of realization, tearfully responds, echoing the man's sentiments. Her reaction stirs the crowd into a frenzy, with gasps and indignation at the apparent affair between them. Questions fly about the couple's relationship, confusion filling the air. Tears stream down the Countess's face as she confronts Count Valentin, who finds himself sweating nervously. He insists they must discuss this privately, but she flees, leaving him to chase after her, calling for her to return. Amidst the chaos, our main girl perks up, thinking it's finally her turn to step in. Countess Valentine retreats to a quiet corner of the castle, leaning against the wall, her sadness radiating. She thinks it's over for her and the Count. She can't bear the thought of him leaving every day. The weight of divorce settles heavily on her shoulders, and tears spill as she concedes she must prepare for this ending. Just then, our girl approaches, greeting the Countess with a bow that feels a bit too formal for the moment. She gently requests to speak with her, her gaze filled with empathy. The Countess, feeling overwhelmed, nods for her to continue. As they sit down for tea, our girl tentatively broaches the topic of the recent drama at the art museum, but quickly senses the Countess's need for distraction. Switching gears, she inquires if the Count had been unfaithful. The Countess bows her head in response, shame washing over her. Understanding the public humiliation she faces, our girl asks if the Countess desires a divorce. The Countess nods, admitting to her spiraling habits of gambling and drinking to escape the pain. She expresses exhaustion, saying she's just tired now. Our girl's eyes widen, a realization dawning on her that the Countess might be enduring domestic violence. However, the Countess reveals that the Count won't let her go, fearing that a divorce would strip him of his status as a count and return him to being just a commoner. Encouragingly, our girl insists that the Count is a despicable man who will never remain quiet about his infidelity. Countess Valentine asks her to elaborate, looking confused. Our girl leans in, earnestly warning that the Count is not to be underestimated. He would go to great lengths to silence his wife. Recognizing the looming danger, she stresses her willingness to help, But the countess, still sorrowful, questions her motives, wondering why someone unrelated would care so much. Our girl takes a moment to reflect, recalling her own experiences of betrayal. She knows all too well how it feels. With sincere intent, she reiterates her desire to help. The countess's expression softens with gratitude as she acknowledges the woman's support. Before parting, our girl beseeches the countess to remember her words, hoping to plant a seed of strength in her heart amidst the turmoil. Night kisses every nook and cranny of the castle, casting a serene glow. Iset, our girl's ex, stands by the window, moonlight accentuating his chiseled features. He finds himself lost in thought, wondering when things went so sideways. What made Ciel, our main girl, suddenly change? When did it become pointless to grab her attention? And why was that other blonde guy suddenly in the picture? He can't help but insult Ciel's new love interest, each jab filled with more venom than the last. Surely, how did she gain so much confidence? His anger manifests physically as he slams the contents of his table onto the floor, not caring if he makes a mess. "What is wrong with me?" he shouts, his frustration echoing off the castle walls. Just then, his younger sister bursts into the room, calling for him. The cheating count follows closely behind, advising her to slow down. His sister marches toward him swiftly, reminding him that he promised there would be no problems, even if everyone knows the Viscountess is just a mere person. She crosses her arms in an assertive manner, her eyes narrowing as she demands to know what they should do now. She expects him to have answers. Iset, feeling overwhelmed, snaps at his sister to be quiet, claiming he has a headache. He massages his temples while beads of sweat form on his brow. If the Count gets divorced, it could turn their whole world upside down. They must find a solution, and fast. After a moment of contemplation, Duval Iset finally says they should consider moving. His sister raises an eyebrow. It sounds serious when he adds that if the government office gets hold of that crystal, the Count could lose everything. Their immediate goal is to protect the Count's position. Suddenly, her eyes light up with a plan. "What if we fight fire with fire? If she has an affair with another man, she'll be in trouble," she suggests cheekily. Count Valentine ponders this for a moment, humming to himself. Then a light bulb goes off in his head. "My Countess Aria stays cooped up in her room without reason," he muses. Realization dawns, and he confidently declares there's a way to handle this. Even if she doesn't have a lover, we can make it look like she does. The Iset siblings exchange dubious glances, uncertain about his scheme. He continues that if they corner her, she won't be able to turn on her husband because they would have trapped her. Next, we see Aria holding a feather quill, her brow furrowed as she asks if everything is okay. Now that she is officially back in her role as a countess, she's ready to sign the divorce papers between Ciel Lavrans and Duval Iset. Curious and a bit apprehensive, she asks if this is sufficient. Our main girl watches, completely amazed by her new ally's efficiency, and thanks Aria, emphasizing that those papers are all she wants. She addresses Aria with her title, suggesting it's better for her to stay in her current position for now. The uncertainty of something bad weighs heavily on her mind. Aria looks a bit melancholy as she asks if Ciel is sure she doesn't mind her staying. Ciel reassures her that it's only for a short while, just 2 weeks. Aria echoes the duration, seeming surprised but intrigued. Ciel nods, affirming that everything will be wrapped up in those 2 weeks. "I guess Miss Lavrans is quite capable," Aria admits. Our girl chuckles, thanking her for that flattering compliment. Later, the scene shifts to nighttime once more. The blue-roofed castle stands tall against the backdrop of stars. Our main female, now in her night clothes, sits on her bed, rubbing her temples. What a day, she muses, feeling the weight of everything that has unfolded. She lies back, aware that things are going according to plan, yet a nagging feeling tells her she's forgotten something important. Suddenly, it hits her. It's Renos, her new companion and lover, that elusive piece of the puzzle. She flashes back to when she asked him to accompany her to the store and when he came with her to meet Count Valentine. She realizes she never properly thanked him for all he's done. Turning in bed, she wonders if he's just the cutest. With a sigh, she muses over the hard world they live in, questioning how someone like him could easily fall for her charms. She can't shake the feeling that she owes him something. and it gnaws at her conscience. I need to ask him if he needs anything. That'd be a fair deal, she tells herself, feeling a surge of determination. With that thought in mind, she jumps up from her bed and heads toward the door, suddenly feeling anxious. What's with this urgency? She wonders as she picks up a document lying on her nightstand. This is how he thinks, she mutters, surprised at how effortlessly things seem to be falling into place. But then she remembers Countess Arya's skin has been brightening day by day since her divorce from that horrible husband. It's a transformation. Today's the day that turning point arrives. Our girl encourages the Countess, assuring her not to worry. This is Lavrins's castle, and I am its rightful owner, she says with newfound confidence, determined to take charge of the situation. The night is filled with the sounds of owls and their companion creatures, creating an ambiance of mystery and suspense. In the shadows of the tree forages, two suspicious men lurk, their eyes scanning a dark room within the castle. Their intent is clear, a mission unnervingly bold. With careful movements, they open a window and leap inside, the wind ruffling the curtains as if the house itself signals their entry. They exchange smirks, feeling a sense of pride in their sneaky endeavors as they tiptoe towards a bed, ready to claim whatever treasure or secrets lie within the confines of the castle. However, their excitement quickly takes a nosedive when they uncover the bed to find no one there but the empty sheets fluttering like a ghostly specter. Bushy Hair, one of the men, leans in more closely, his eyes wide with bewilderment, whispering to his partner about the improbability of what they believed was happening. Suddenly, a voice calls out from behind them, asking if they are looking for something. Alarmed, they whirl around to find their quarry, a woman draped in a flowing black gown, leaning against the windowsill. She raises an eyebrow, unimpressed and exuding an aura of confidence that unnerves them. With a slight smirk, she quips about their rather poor decision-making at such an hour. Did they really come all this way just to lose their lives? Without warning, a dark purple shadow erupts from her, darting after the intruders like a loyal pet chasing a ball. Panic sets in, and Bushy Hair frantically shouts for them to leave immediately, as the shadow gains momentum, closing the distance quickly. The men scramble towards the door, pulling at it with all their might, only to find it obstinately stuck. With terror in their voices, they scream at the shadow not to touch them, but it's too late. Bushy Hair clutches at his throat, struggling to catch his breath as he mutters about the power of the Lavrins family, a name known for its dark capabilities. The girl, now revealing a playful side, jokes about their predicament, suggesting they should have some fun with it. The scene shifts as the criminals find themselves collapsed in an alley, panting and disoriented. The one in the mask asks Bushy Hair if he has lost his mind. He lies on the ground, frantically trying to piece together what just happened, asking how they even escaped the whirlwind of chaos that had ensued in the castle. His partner angrily reminds him that even when they confronted her, she seemed weak. Bushy Hair looks disheartened, assuring him he doesn't remember anything after that moment. The insulted partner swears at him, insisting they should just move far away from there. Just when they think they are safe, the black and purple shadow descends on them once more, eliciting screams of agony as they question what on earth is happening. In sheer panic, one of them notices that the alley entrance is closing in around them, increasing their dread. They look up just in time to see dark purple arrows tumbling down toward them like a rain of chaos. The next moment reveals a black and purple brooch shining ominously. Our main girl, contemplative and with a glint of mischief in her eyes, wonders aloud why the perpetrators didn't think ahead before entering such a mysterious place. Insulting their intelligence, she questions their thought process, especially considering the absurdity of blaming someone's affair on an innocent wife. With a devilish smirk, she assures herself that she will show Count Valentine something significantly worse than divorce. She then calls upon Cerberus, and from the shadows emerges a three-headed dog that roars a hefty yes in response. Momentarily taken aback by his frightening appearance, she reflects on how she still can't get used to seeing him. He gazes at her with wide, curious eyes that are more adorable than intimidating. Cerberus embodies the lineage of the Lavrins family, known for their valor in battling the evil dragon and their special skills. It comes at a price, though. Tapping into the labyrinth's power consumes an immense amount of energy, jeopardizing both body and mind. Our girl considers that this power is also the source of her frequent ailments, pondering whether the labyrinth will eventually devour her. As Cerberus calls out to her, inquiring why she summoned him, his surprisingly soft tone contrasts sharply with his fearsome physical presence. She instructs him to take the hapless men away. When he mentions he's only had an hour, she reacts with disbelief. 1 hour? No wonder her head feels like it's about to implode. She points toward the sky, commanding the dog to act quicker. Moments later, the criminals find themselves on their knees before her. And she demands they reveal the identity of whoever sent them. They mumble among themselves in muffled tones, but she silences them with an authoritative glare and asserts they will return to the labyrinth. Night is still shrouding the castle, and Count Valentine is seen holding a glass of red wine, his thoughts tangled in calculations and schemes. He thinks this should all be resolved by now. If only Arya had listened to him earlier, he muses, he wouldn't have had to resort to such underhanded tactics. In his mind, she stands as a key piece in his game, now unable to testify against him. Just as his inner monologue continues, men with ponytails, dressed in sharp white and black uniforms, burst through the doors, calling out his name along with his noble title. They announce that he is under arrest, and he attempts to deflect their accusations with disbelief. What? Wait, what are you doing? He incredulously demands they release him, insisting they have no idea who they are dealing with. They push him to the ground, firmly stating his full name as Count Nex Valentine. The charge sheet is read aloud: violence, intimidation, and a slew of other crimes. The leader commands his men to take the Count away. Standing close by, our purple-haired girl and Arya observe the unfolding drama from the shadows. As Valentine argues, attempting to maneuver his way out of trouble, Arya gazes with sadness at the scene, silently reflecting on how this feels like the end of everything. Our girl and the Countess stand off to the side, watching the chaotic scene as Count Valentine is being arrested. Arya, with a touch of resignation, notes that this is the end. But our main girl lets out a dark chuckle and assures her it's far from over. Arya looks at her with raised brows, questioning her intent. Our girl explains that they should really educate those who indulge in affairs in public, showing them a taste of the real world. Meanwhile, in a dimly lit tunnel accented by ominous red lights, Count Valentine sits alone on a bed, muttering to himself that there must be a mistake, that this shouldn't be happening. He fumes about that woman, his blood boiling at the thought of her betrayal. The scene shifts to behind bars, where the Countess makes her appearance. His eyes widen with desperation as he screams out for his wife, convinced she has come to rescue him with bail money. He promises to give her all the riches in the world, but currently he has nothing of value to offer. She gazes at him in silence, causing his frustration to grow. He continues to plead, calling her my wife and demanding answers. Arya intervenes, bluntly declaring that they should just divorce since she no longer wants to live with him. Valentine, bewildered, asks if this is because of their last encounter. He insists it was merely a misunderstanding. Arya calmly explains that evidence will be sent to the government office, and she refers to the belongings he left behind at their house. She hands him a document, and with a look of dread, he realizes she means business. As his face pales, she casually informs him that the properties, title, and the castle will be returned to her, but he can have the gold mine. He grips her hand in desperation, shouting that she should give the title to him. In his mind, he curses her, thinking what a woman she is, wondering if she'll actually let him keep his wealth. He finally relents and signs the document, passing it back with a chuckle, claiming the title doesn't matter to him anymore. With the gold mine, he believes he's set for life without her. Our girl arrives at the scene, calling out Arya's name in triumph. Arya, surprisingly unfazed, acknowledges this development, and the main girl crosses her arms, mockingly congratulating him on landing himself in a mountain of debt. Confused, Valentine scoffs, questioning what debt she is referring to. Arya clarifies, pulling out the document and explaining that she had given him the ownership of the mine. None the wiser, Valentine frowns, only to have Arya point out that he might not have noticed how much money he borrowed. In disbelief, he demands to know about the mine's status. Arya informs him that it's currently closed and on the verge of being sold. His eyes widen in shock as he cries out in disbelief, wondering when it was sold, insisting that it couldn't be true. Our girl suggests it's time to leave, but Valentine shouts for Arya to return, pleading with her to listen to him. Despite his desperate cries, she walks away, leaving him crying out for her, his anguish echoing through the tunnel. As night falls, gratitude fills the air as Arya thanks our girl for her assistance. She responds with a smile, happy to see Count Valentine unmasked in his misfortune. Arya adds that our girl excels at finding solutions, to which she modestly dismisses. With a slight shrug, she suggests they return, offering Arya a chance to stay another night in the castle. Just then, her vision begins to blur, the world around her spinning as dizziness washes over her. She wonders what is happening to her, her concern growing. Arya rushes to her side, calling out for her to respond as her name escapes her lips in a panic. Our girl collapses to the floor, unresponsive. In the blink of an eye, she awakens in a haze, wearing a white gown, a bright light shining into her eyes. One of her handmaids peers down with a worried expression, confirming she has been asleep for days. And the maid expresses her fear that she might never awaken. Our girl struggles to process this, incredulity flooding her as she asks if it's really been that long. She rubs her temples, attempting to recollect recent events and acknowledging the intense dizziness still lingering. A sharp memory pierces through her foggy thoughts, a shadowy figure saying she is there to see Ciel I, warning the maid to steer clear of her or face the consequences. The maid stands her ground, insisting she can't let that woman through. Ciel I groans, asking her maid to elaborate on that memory, and the maid reveals that she was dealing with that woman for quite a while. Wincing in pain, our girl wipes her brow, cursing that woman under her breath. The maid hastily moves toward the door, promising to make the woman leave, insisting our girl should get more rest. Her heart races as she realizes the woman is there for the fine they incurred for being accused of having an affair. That fine will be a substantial burden, amounting to 1 billion gold, a staggering sum no matter how much she earns. As her worries swirl, she collapses back onto the bed, musing that she should have thought ahead because affairs cause financial ruin for generations. Just as sleep threatens to envelop her once more, a figure silently slips through the window, quietly approaching her bed, the atmosphere thick with tension and questions yet to be answered. As our girl sleeps on her bed, a strange noise stirs her from her dreams, accompanied by an unexpected chill in the air. She wonders if she left the window open. In her blurry haze, she notices a shadow looming over her and jolts up to see its rhinos. The prince stands there, hovering awkwardly, and she realizes he's really there. He tells her to excuse his intrusion, mentioning that Ino wanted to enter her room, but somehow he ended up doing it. Our girl's mind races, questioning if she is still dreaming. After thinking of him the entire day, it feels surreal to see him now. She gathers her courage and asks if His Majesty can sit with her. He hesitates, looking away as he wonders if it's a good idea. He insists that she can't hear clearly and suggests he should come closer to her. After a tense moment, he declares that he really must go, claiming he just wanted to ensure she was okay, but now he's leaving. Our girl protests inwardly. She's in a dream world after all. Why won't he just listen to her? She reassures him that she is fine and asks again why he can't come close. After a pause, he finally agrees, and they both sit on opposite edges of the bed, leaving an awkward distance between them. Rhinos starts off by clarifying that he had no ill intentions. He was merely worried about her, hence his visit to check on her. He asks if he startled her. She rolls her eyes playfully, responding that of course he did. He just appeared out of nowhere. She reminds him that they are on the 3rd floor, pondering how he managed to get there. With a teasing lilt, she suggests he must be unstoppable even in her dreams. He raises an eyebrow at the idea, joking that, of course, he comes flying. Confused, she asks if he can actually fly, surprised at the thought of the prince being a magician. He chuckles softly, informing her that while he cannot fly, he possesses the ability to transform. Intrigued, she implores him to share how that works. He echoes her question, amused, wondering if she wants to know right now. She eagerly says yes, and he informs her it's difficult to explain. She feels her curiosity pique, not willing to let it go. In a burst of inspiration, she fakes a sneeze, prompting him to rush to her side, asking if she's okay. With a grin, she tells him she wants to see him fly, persuasively asking him to demonstrate. Greatly amused, he questions what she is doing, and she keeps up the act, pretending to cough and beg for his support. After a moment of deliberation, he agrees but asks her to be quiet for a moment. With a smirk, he confesses that he didn't actually come flying, but instead transformed into a dragon. Her eyes widen in confusion as she asks him to clarify. He insists that if she wants to see it, he will show her, but she must stay close to him after the transformation. She assures him that he doesn't need to worry. She loves dragons. He looks surprised at her excitement for dragons, and she nods enthusiastically, sharing that she has always wanted to see one since childhood. At this, he exhales a cloud of red and black smoke, and bright lights burst forth around him. She shields her eyes under the dazzling display, feeling both apprehensive and fascinated. In a daze, she remembers tales from the novel where dragons were depicted as dark and evil, their destructive powers shrouding them in fear. As the blaze grows fierce, she hears the intimidating roar of the dragon in her mind and recalls the chilling tales of devastation that followed. Just as she thinks this, a small dragon lands on her bed, introducing itself as Ikkyo. Her eyes widen in shock, disbelief blending with admiration as she observes the tiny creature. He is surprisingly cute, and as she processes this, she asks if this little dragon is truly the embodiment of the evil one from the stories. The dragon responds with a soft Ikkyo. In a playful moment, she reflects on how many people lost their lives because of that dragon, wrapping her mind around the gravity of the creature that now sits before her. With a mix of awe and fun, tentatively asks the dragon if she can touch him. He raises his head curiously as she gently pats it, realizing he must not talk in this form. She can't help but comment on how petite and adorably cute he is. With a gleam of mischief in her eyes, she asks if he can light a fire. The dragon tilts his head, unsure, then blushes adorably before responding with another Ikkyo. Her excitement builds as she continues her playful queries. How about acid? The dragon emits a small trickle of acidic substance. She laughs, thrilled, asking if he can also produce ice. Another Ikkyo, and ice shoots from his tiny mouth. Her jaw drops in disbelief, speechless at the wonder of it all. With a mischievous grin, she scoops him close and expresses her desire to raise him up. He flaps his wings energetically, and she breaks a light sweat, quickly assuring him it was just a joke and he shouldn't be worried. Suddenly, she feels dizzy creeping back in, reminding her that she's not quite feeling her best. The little dragon seems to sense her discomfort and gently drags the covers over to himself, managing to wrap them around her delicately. She questions him playfully, asking if he will cover her, feeling comforted as she lies back in bed. With a warm smile, she tells him to stay with her until tomorrow. The dragon, ever obedient, cuddles next to her, providing a beacon of warmth in the chilly air. As the morning light begins to filter through the castle, sun rays dance over her peaceful face, illuminating the room. Our girl sleeps soundly, the world outside awakening to a new day, completely unaware of the magical events that unfolded through the night. The promise of adventure lingers in the air as the sun shines brighter, setting the stage for what comes next. It's a bright sunny day, and the cheerful chirping of birds fills the air. At a sunny terrace, a dark red-headed girl savors the picturesque view, commenting that, as expected, the tourist spots in the south are absolutely wonderful. She sits with a man who has short gray hair and one eye covered by glasses, both of them enjoying cups of tea alongside some biscuits. With a questioning smile, she asks him if he would like more tea. He responds with a polite, "Yes, please," then smirks, adding that it's been 2 weeks since he came for vacation. As she pours him another cup, she nods and agrees, saying that time flies, doesn't it? Across the 7%. He takes a sip of his tea, letting the moment linger before he shares that they need to organize Ciela's marriage right after their return. As soon as she hears this, the woman pauses mid-pour, kettle in hand, her smile faltering slightly. After a quick internal pep talk, she fakes a bright smile and agrees, saying it's a good idea. She can't help but feel excited at the thought of her daughter in a beautiful bride costume. In her mind, she begins to envision her girl making a tremendous success, especially since Gerald's wealth would be a perfect match for their family. With newfound determination, she declares they should fix a date for the wedding. She needs to inform Gerald at the academy about it. It's his only sister's wedding. She's certain he'll be thrilled about it. But before she can get too carried away, he interrupts her with a cough, insisting she wait a moment. Just then, a white bird swoops down, landing gracefully with a note tied to its leg. He notes that it looks like something important, making her raise an eyebrow in curiosity. She retrieves the note from the bird and reads aloud, surprised to find out that they will be returning home soon after all. As they both exchange bewildered glances, the tension in the air is palpable when they both ask at the same time, what does she mean by divorce? Meanwhile, our girl's former best friend strolls through the castle's corridors, her heart racing as she admits she is excited to see Duval Iset. She has heard rumors that the divorce has been approved, meaning there are no longer any ties between him and Ciel I. A blush creeps onto her cheeks as she lingers on this thought, imagining the possibilities. She wonders if Duval will be happy now. The wheels in her mind turn as she plans when they should celebrate their engagement, thinking the date should certainly suit her dress. Full of anticipation, she approaches his office, calling out in a seductive voice, "Clunt Duval, finally." Inside, he looks up, wariness lining his features as he snaps that she's entered without his permission. His hand is raised in a gesture, and she feels a flicker of offense as she retorts, "Count Duval?" She just heard he separated from Ciel I. His face hardens with disbelief as he demands to know what she's implying. She insists she only wants to discuss their engagement date, but he practically cuts her off in shock, asking what she means by engagement, him and her. The nervousness creeps into her demeanor as she hurriedly responds, "Count? What is he talking about? Didn't he tell her that when he settled his affairs with Ciel I, they would soon—" Her voice trails off and hurt flickers in her eyes. He recognizes the look, stating darkly that it seems she does not understand. He confesses she was nothing more than a tool to grab Ciel I's attention. Stunned, she crumples to the floor, confused and hurt. She wants to remind him that he once confessed he always wanted to separate from her. With quivering lips, she asks if he still loves Ciel I, her heart aching as she begs to know if she can't simply be Ciel I's replacement. Their eyes lock momentarily, the silence heavy with unshed feelings. He shakes his head firmly, stating an unequivocal no. Determined, she argues that she can be just like Ciel I, and insists that he will love her too. He finds her argument ridiculous and expresses his annoyance vehemently. Summoning his servants and guards, he orders them to take her away and ensure she doesn't come back. The finality of his words echoes painfully in her chest as she cries out in disbelief, pleading with him that he can't do that to her. Meanwhile, in a beautiful flower garden, Renos and Ciel I stroll through the lush blooms. Renos asks her how she's feeling now, gently guiding her deeper into the garden with a hand on her back as she holds a light umbrella over her head. Ciel I beams, telling him she feels much better. Renos nods, relieved to hear this, noting that he is glad she is doing better than before. She ponders their last meeting, recalling how it was when they were tracking the Count. Renos muses to himself, recalling how she really thought she was dreaming that he might cease to exist. He can't help but chuckle internally at the memory as he reaches out to pat her head gently, reassuring her that her fever has finally subsided. Caught up in her memories, she reflects on how they had met in her dreams and on occasions when he would tenderly wipe her forehead. She hums pleasantly as they walk together, and Renos gazes at her with curiosity, noticing her cheeks tinted with a hint of pink. With a teasing spirit, he comments that she seems to be blushing and wonders if she might have a fever again. Indignant, she argues that it's just a bit of heat from the weather. She quickly adds that she's thrilled they managed to fix the problem. After a prolonged silence, she confesses that she is truly happy to see him this way. He gazes back at her, emotions swirling in his eyes, and softly echoes that he feels the same too. In a moment of sincerity, he suggests that perhaps Miss would like to sneak away a little. A blush rises on her cheeks at his words, making her wonder why he would suggest such a thing. With increasing warmth in his expression, he reveals that he wants her to stay close to him. Without hesitation, she agrees, feeling comfortable in his presence. In a gentle gesture of affection, he slips a bracelet onto her wrist, declaring it a present to celebrate their newfound separation. Ciel I gasps in awe, exclaiming that it's wonderful. Inwardly, she beams with happiness, but also feels a twinge of guilt wash over her, reminding herself that this might not be the right time to celebrate after just going through a divorce. They continue their stroll through the enchanting garden until they reach a water fountain, where she perches herself on the ledge and turns to him with a playful inquisitiveness, asking how he has been doing and what's new with Tyel. The moment the name leaves her lips, his expression turns sour, and he admits that the situation is a bit complicated, largely due to an obstacle in the middle. Noticing his unease, she wonders if that obstacle is Duval. He sagely confirms that it might take a while to sort things out. Despite this, he expresses his desire to protect his relationship with her. Her heart swells and she smiles. She reassures him that of course they can make it work because there was a contract between them from the beginning. Determinedly, she pledges to do her absolute best so that he can rekindle his engagement with Tyel. Giggling, she adds that he should not worry, after all she's got his back. He thanks her warmly for her support. But then he asks if this is the sole reason they met today, just to prolong the contract? With a knowing smile, he reveals that it's not only that. Pulling a beautifully crafted invitation from his pocket, he presents it to her, stating it is an invitation to the upcoming Crimson Moon Festival. He explains how the Lavrans contribute significantly to this country and encourages her to attend. As she accepts the invitation, she breaks a light sweat, silently admitting to herself that she forgot about the festival amidst all the excitement of her divorce proceedings. The Crimson Moon Festival is approaching fast, and she remembers that Ray will be there too, creating a mix of fluttering anticipation and thoughts of new beginnings. The Crimson Moon Festival occurs twice a year, once in summer and again in winter. Legends say that when the crimson moon rises, it unleashes the power of the evil dragon, a being feared throughout history. To keep this dragon at bay, the emperor's family offers a sacrifice each time the moon appears, hoping to appease the creature. At the same time, they created the festival to reassure the people. Ciel I reflects that everyone thinks of this festival annually, but this year feels different. With Rai set to transform into a dragon, chaos looms over the area. In fact, this transformation is meant to serve as reinforcement for Tyel's power. Last time, Tyel was beside Rhinos, where she could handle the technique. But now, Ciel I realizes she must reunite them before it's too late. The Emperor's fate rests on her shoulders, which is a lot of pressure for one person. And as she contemplates this, Rhinos calls out to her, asking if she is all right. He worries that if her family cannot come, he will figure everything out for her. She quickly reassures him that it's not a problem at all, even if a part of her ponders what to do next. Shouldn't Rai be imprisoned somewhere instead of roaming free? Inside the castle, Ciel I asks Rhinos if he plans to attend the festival as well. He responds playfully, asking why she's curious about that. Laughing nervously, she shrugs and suggests that it might be better for him to come out during the crimson moon. He confidently states that he definitely wants to attend the festival with her, seeing it as not just another outing, but a special date. As she thinks about this, she wonders if he's becoming too attached. If she makes even one mistake, could the Emperor be ruined? What should she do? At that moment, Rhinos tries to catch her attention, assuring her that he knows what stresses her, promising he will make sure nothing bad happens. All he needs is for her to trust him and join him for the festival. Soon enough, the kingdom comes alive with the festival. Ciel I looks over at Rai, making a mental note of his outfit. She wonders if he will really wear that. Rhinos, dressed in matching blue with silver designs and some black accents to make his outfit pop, glances at her and asks if she spots any problems. She hesitates before saying yes. She feels embarrassed about the matching outfits. Renos teases her, asking why she'd feel embarrassed since it's all hand-embroidered by her own hands, almost suggesting it should be classified as a national treasure. As she blushes at the compliment, she thinks about how she wanted to gift him that outfit in return for the bracelet he gave her. Renos smiles, insisting he has enough, emphasizing that it's her creation that matters most. She mulls over the fact that maybe she's worrying too much. Perhaps her concern comes from a conversation they had about a particular medicine that could control the evil dragon's power. But she firmly states that it won't come to that. They should forget about it altogether. Suddenly, someone in the crowd shouts that the show is about to begin, a special event that is exclusive to the Crimson Moon Festival. Further chatter reveals that it will be a tale of the evil dragon, hinting at its popularity. Another voice pipes up to ask if they want to watch it. With a wave of resistance, Ciel I insists she doesn't want to, but Renos encourages her to hurry if she does wish to see it. She ends up clinging to him, a mix of excitement and nerves bubbling within her. As they settle into their seats in the theater, she internally scolds herself for sitting too close. She wonders how she ended up beside him in the first place. As the show starts, the narration begins, revealing that the evil dragon had a lover who sought to control the world using the dragon's terrifying power. The scene flips to villagers confronting the villainous woman, revealing they know all too well what she is planning. Their outrage leads to a spirited defense against her seduction of the dragon, resulting in her demise to preserve peace. As Ciel I watches, she finds herself caught between horror and fascination. It becomes increasingly clear that although the dragon was once a fearsome creature, it lost everything, including its mind, after losing its beloved. This story revolves around the first family's heroism in slaying the dragon, but it eerily centers more on the dragon and his beloved than on the supposed heroes themselves. The climactic moment arrives when 5 valiant warriors gather to punish the evil dragon, and just before he meets his end, he leaves a deadly curse. His soul, forever marked by the name Arizentime, is condemned to haunt that family as revenge for his lost love. The thought echoes in Ciel I's mind, making her wonder if the curse truly lasts forever. This dragon had loved his lover for 1,000 years, patiently awaiting her resurrection, and suddenly she feels a pang of envy for the woman who held such deep devotion. She can't help but wonder how it would feel to be loved so fiercely by a majestic creature like a dragon, a love that was unwavering through time. As the show progresses, she imagines herself in the comforting arms of a golden dragon. His gaze pierces through any barriers, looking tenderly at her as he caresses her gently. She snaps back to reality, jolted by the thought of a golden dragon when suddenly he nudges her playfully, causing her to blush furiously as she touches the dragon's chin. It feels exaggerated, almost too sentimental. Quickly, she stands up, shaking her head as she playfully scolds the perverted dragon, trying to dismiss the absurdity of her thoughts. When the show concludes, applause erupts from the crowd. Renos stands reaching for Ciel I's hand and teases her about having a sweet dream, claiming he caught her hand in a caring manner. She stumbles over her words, breaking into a sweat, insisting it's not because of the hand-holding. Renos covers his mouth, excusing himself for being a pervert, an unmistakable twinkle in his eyes. Ciel I finds herself backtracking, asserting that it's not about him at all. As the sun sets, they walk back together, Ciel I playfully scratching the back of his head. She muses aloud, asking if the show was boring. His response reveals a hint of concern as he points out she napped through part of it. She protests that it was just a minute, and with a blush creeping onto her face, defends her moment of weakness. Curious, Renos asks what she thought of the show while she was dozing off. She hums thoughtfully, her mind entangled in feelings of jealousy, sparked by the evil woman's character. Did the evil woman truly have such ill intent for the world if it meant being with her dragon lover forever? Renos suddenly interrupts her thoughts, calling out to her as his heart pounds in his chest, reminding her she's his focus. At that moment, Duval appears, his expression grim, announcing that he has been looking for her. The plot thickens as she senses trouble is afoot, and both she and Renos turn their attention toward Duval. Uncertainty hanging in the air, as they wonder what comes next, in this tangled web of relationships and destiny. The Crimson Moon Festival lights up the kingdom twice a year in summer and winter, and legends tend to spiral around the eerie beauty of the event. They claim that when the crimson moon rises, it summons the terrifying power of the evil dragon, a creature that has inspired nightmares across generations. To keep this monstrous force at bay, the emperor's family dutifully offers sacrifices whenever the moon rears its head, hoping to appease the dreaded dragon. To soften the fear in the hearts of the people, they also create the festival filled with lights, laughter, and togetherness. But Ciel I feels the weight of difference this year. With the threat of Rai transforming into a dragon looming ever closer, a sense of chaos stirs beneath the colorful decorations. This transformation is intended to bolster Tyel's powers, but the last time Tyel had been beside Renos, she was able to handle the technique. Now, Ciel I understands that she must reunite them before the clock runs out. The fate of the Emperor hangs precariously in her hands, which is a lot for one person to manage. As she grapples with doubt and worry, Renos calls out to her, checking in and displaying a concern that's both sweet and baffling. He assures her that if her family trouble arises, he will sort it out. He's like a knight in shining armor who has misplaced his horse. Ciel I hurriedly reassures him that everything is fine, convincing herself just as much as him. Even if a little voice inside wonders if Rai should be in some sort of dungeon instead of gallivanting around free as a bird. Inside the castle, Ciel I shifts gears and boldly asks Renos if he plans to attend the festival with her. Renos' playful grin widens at her question, teasingly inquiring why she's so interested. She laughs nervously, waving her hand as if swatting away an embarrassing thought, suggesting that it might actually be better for him to come out during the crimson moon rather than lurking in the shadows. With a confidence that makes her heart skip, he declares he would love nothing more than to join her, framing the outing as a delightful date rather than just a mere visit. As thoughts whirl in her head, Ciel I realizes she might be overthinking things a bit. Is he getting too attached? If she flubs this, will the Emperor meet a disastrous fate? What on earth is she supposed to do? Renos attempts to distract her worries, assuring her he understands her stress and will take all the necessary steps to keep everything under control. All he asks in return is for her to trust him and accompany him to the festival. With the sun setting, the kingdom bustles vibrantly, the festival in full swing. Ciel I glances at Rai, noting the striking outfit he wears. She can't help but wonder if he will seriously wear that ensemble. Meanwhile, Renos strides over, resplendent in matching blue attire adorned with silver designs, alongside some black articles that add a touch of flair and contrast. He glances at Ciel I, asking if something seems off. Ciel I hesitates, awkwardly admitting she feels embarrassed by their matching outfits. Renos chuckles, raising an eyebrow as he asks why she feels that way when he's practically decked out in her crafts. The outfit she designed is hand-embroidered by her, so it's practically a national treasure. Blushing from the compliment, she reflects on how she had actually intended to give him the outfit as a thank you for the bracelet he gifted her earlier. Renos, with his warm smile, insists he has plenty, emphasizing that her creation is what matters most to him. Yet she can't shake her anxiety, wondering if it's all silly worry stemming from their earlier chats about a medicine that could control the evil dragon's power. With firm resolve, she insists they should just drop the subject and move on to more fun topics. Just then, someone in the crowd yells that the show is about to start, a highlight of the Crimson Moon Festival. Excitement swells as word spreads that it will tell the tale of the notorious evil dragon, and a few onlookers suggest watching it. Ciel I, feeling a sense of dread, adamantly states she isn't interested, but Renos encourages her to hurry if she doesn't want to miss the fun. Before she knows it, Ciel I finds herself clinging to him as excitement mingles with nerves. As they finally find seats in the theater, Ciel I silently scolds herself for getting too cozy with Renos. Why on earth did she end up sitting that close? As the show starts, the narrative unfolds, revealing that the evil dragon had a lover whose ambition was to control the world with the dragon's fearsome power. The scene transitions to villagers bravely confronting the villainous woman, revealing that they are fully aware of her plans, appearing a bit too confident for their own good. Their spirited defense against her attempts to seduce the dragon culminates in her downfall, showcasing how love can often lead one down a twisted path. While watching this unfold, Ciel I finds herself captivated and horrified at the same time. It dawns on her that even though the dragon once terrorized the land, he lost everything, including his sanity, after losing his beloved. The tale that should celebrate the first family's triumph becomes an unsettling focus on the love story of a dragon and his lost beloved, with stark contrasts to the supposed heroes. When 5 courageous warriors finally gather to punish the evil dragon, the dramatic tension peaks as, just before his demise, he curses the name Arazentime. In her mind, Ciel I can't help but wonder if the curse really does last forever. This dragon adored his lover for 1,000 years, waiting patiently for her return, and a sudden pang of envy grips at her heart for the woman who had experienced such unwavering devotion. Ciel I imagines how it must feel to be cherished by a majestic creature, a love that never fades through time. As the performance marches on, her thoughts drift, imagining herself in the gentle embrace of a golden dragon. His tender gaze penetrates any barrier, caressing her with such warmth that she feels lost in a fairy tale. She snaps back to reality, shaken by the thought of a dragon, particularly a golden one, nudging her playfully. Blushing furiously, she touches the dragon's chin, trying to shake off the silly thoughts that swirl in her mind. Cue the dramatic exit as she stands up abruptly, shaking her head and playfully scolding the perverted dragon, urging herself to focus on the stage instead of her wild imagination. As the show wraps up, cheers erupt from the audience, and Ciel I feels a mix of relief and embarrassment wash over her. Reno stands, reaching for her hand, teasing her about having had a lovely dream, playfully claiming he took her hand in a gentlemanly fashion. Ciel I stumbles over her words, a blush creeping onto her cheeks as she insists that it's not due to the hand-holding. Reno's, in an exaggerated manner, covers his mouth, apologizing for being what he calls a pervert, mischief dancing in his eyes. She backtracks quickly, insisting that it's not about him at all, laughing nervously but feeling her heart flutter. As dusk blankets the kingdom, they make their way back together, and she playfully scratches the back of his head, asking if he thought the show was boring. Reno's teasingly points out that she did in fact take a little nap during part of it, a grin stretching across his face. She protests that it was only for a minute, her blush deepening as she tries to defend her brief moment of shut-eye. Reno, still curious, asks what she daydreamed about while she was dozing off. Ciel I hums thoughtfully, her mind entangled with feelings of envy provoked by the tale of the evil woman and her dragon lover. Did this villainous woman truly have such harmful intents, if her love for the dragon was so genuine? Reno's interrupts her meandering thoughts, calling her name as his heart races, reminding her that she's the focus of his attention. Just then, Duval strides in, his expression grim and unmistakably serious. He announces that he has been searching for her, creating a palpable tension in the air. Ciel I senses that trouble is brewing, and on instinct, both she and Reno's shift their focus toward Duval, a mix of uncertainty and anticipation hanging between them as they wonder what twist awaits in this ever-complex web of relationships and destiny unfolding around them. The maids and butlers gasp in unison, their eyes wide as they chorus with astonishment, having heard rumors about a date, but now experiencing shock at the sight of their miss. Their curiosity gets the best of them, and Ciel I laughs nervously, downplaying the situation by claiming nothing special is happening. Clutched in her hands is an object wrapped in clothes, which immediately catches the attention of the scrutinizing maids, who lean in for a closer look. One of them raises an eyebrow and exclaims that nothing special. Another maid gasps, pointing at the wrapped item, exclaiming it looks suspiciously like men's clothes, and quite dirty ones at that. Before their gasps can fully echo, Ciel I bolts away, her heart racing as she thinks it's time to save herself from what is sure to be an embarrassing interrogation. As one maid reaches out after her, realizing it's too late, she mutters that their miss shouldn't run away, but Ciel I manages to cut her off, claiming it's not like the maid was thinking properly in the first place. They just held hands after all. A slight detail that seems to melt under her panic. The maid goes into a tizzy, practically shouting about how a kiss is the perfect way to end a date, and her words only deepen the blush spreading across Ciela's cheeks as she continues her escape, holding the squirming little dragon closer to her chest. She insists to her imaginary audience that she told them it wasn't a big deal, apologizing as she speeds away. Slamming the door behind her, she shuts out the still protesting maids, who call out her name in disbelief. One murmurs that she suspects Ciela is hiding more than she lets on. Once safe inside, Ciela sighs as she realizes she almost got caught. It's stressful for both her and Rai. She apologizes to the little dragon in her hands, setting him down on the bed as she unwraps him from the clothes. With a gentle nudge, she tells him he can come out now, at which point he peeks out and simply says, "Q." Ciela's face fills with determination as she insists that they have plenty of questions to address. But first, they have to solve the dilemma this situation has brought. She walks over to a nearby table by the window, grabbing a book and a pen, turning back to him with purpose. She encourages him to write down whatever he can't say aloud. After all, he can't talk at the moment, so writing seems like the next best option. She carefully places the pen in his tiny paws, watching him lie down on the bed as he prepares to write. As she observes him, her mind races over what he might put down. Then he writes a single word, kiss. Sheila raises an eyebrow, pondering if a kiss from her could turn him back into his true form. The dragon nods in affirmation, saying, Q. Her heart skips a beat as she caresses his cheek, eliciting a blush from the little dragon, who delicately holds her hand like it's the most precious treasure in the world. Suddenly, he snatches the pen again, continuing to write that perhaps they should wait until he transforms back into a full dragon. Ciela shakes her head, asserting that now that he's a tiny dragon, it's crucial for her to kiss him to return him to his true form. The dragon blushes furiously, uttering a shy Q. She goes on, explaining that there's another pressing issue. Now that he's a dragon, he can't take the medicine he mentioned earlier. Surely he doesn't want her to send a letter to the Empire Castle regarding this? Rai takes the pen and scribbles a prompt. Nope, indicating she shouldn't tell anyone anything. He expresses that no one should know he remains conscious during his transformation into the evil dragon. Ciela's eyebrows shoot up as she processes this. Not even the Emperor knows? Rai confirms this with a nod, stating they only know what's written in old books about dragons. Curiosity piqued, Ciela leans forward and asks why he's so different than what all those texts say. He quickly writes that it's a secret. She raises an eyebrow, wondering if there's anything else that's different from the old texts. What about the claim that he might lose his mind and become a maniac dragon? With swift strokes, he writes that as long as the crimson moon isn't in the sky, he can freely change forms. Her relief washes over her like a warm blanket as she sighs, acknowledging that this dimension of his abilities is a relief. In a sudden burst of concern, she reminds him that even the esteemed Rai doesn't have a suitable place to stay at the moment. Would he like to crash at her place until he returns to his true form? The dragon blushes again, looking unsure. Curious now, Ciela presses, asking why he seems shocked. She can't leave him without shelter. If he stays with her, at least he'll be out of danger, and she can tap into her powers in case of an emergency. Rai looks thoughtful, mumbling Kyo as he weighs his options. She urges him not to hesitate. Just as they reach an understanding, a little knock at the door interrupts them. A maid's voice calls out, announcing it's time for the laundry. Ciela sighs, pleading for the maid to wait. Before she can complete her request, the maid bursts into the room, her inquisitive eyes scanning the space. Confused looks pass between Ciela and Rai as the little dragon dives into Ciela's hands for unexpected cover. The maid's eyes widen even more when she spots the dragon in her arms. Ciela asks her what she thinks she's doing, holding the dragon protectively as she glares at the intruder. The dragon looks up and glares right back at the maid, a threatening glimmer in his eye, which ends up being both cute and alarming. He then suddenly flies toward the maid, who gasps in surprise, exclaiming what kind of winged lizard this is. Winged lizard? Ciela chimes in, feeling the offense at the description. The maid continues, drawn in by the dragon's cuteness, asking if he is domestic, and, without missing a beat, Rai swats at the maid's hand with a flick of his tail. The maid squeals in shock. She recoils playfully, saying that his personality doesn't seem too cute, and doesn't she think he's a little aggressive? Ciel I laughs hastily, trying to save face as she attempts to calm the situation, assuring the maid that he listens to her. The dragon flits back to her, giving a soft kyo, causing the maid to blink in disbelief. Unbelievable. She marvels aloud, declaring she thinks the dragon knows who his owner is. The little dragon wraps his tiny arms around Ciel I, thrusting her into a ridiculous giggle fit as they share a warm moment. Ciel I quickly regains her composure and stifles her laughter, insisting that if the maid needs anything, she can just call for her. The maid raises an eyebrow, questioning if Rai cast a spell or something. Rai cocks his head, responding with a simple kyo. With a sigh of relief, Ciel I decides that everything seems all right now, but they can't rely on writing anymore. She suggests they communicate with signs. This motion means yes, and this one means no. This indicates annoyance or sadness. Would he like to try? With an open hand, Ciel I invites the tiny dragon to press one of his fingers into her palm. The slight tingle makes her giggle, and once she's certain he understands, she declares that from now on, they can communicate like this when they're outside together. With the seconds ticking by, she mentions that it's late now and Rai should get some rest. Rai chirps a soft kyo, staring back at her with sleepy eyes. Ciel I carries him to the guest room, lovingly calling out his name. She places him delicately on the bed, reassuring him that this is where he'll sleep. The bed is quite comfortable, isn't it? He coos happily, reaching for her hand, unwilling to let her leave just yet. She helps him adjust to a good sleeping posture, and then she giggles, playfully teasing him that he shouldn't try to suggest he wants to share the bed with her. Despite how adorable he is as a tiny dragon, sharing a bed isn't quite the right thing to do. Holding back a smile, Ciel I leaves the room with a soft bang of the door, the little dragon calling out, kyo, in what seems like reluctant protest. With a bright grin, she wishes him good night, her heart swelling with warmth. Morning arrives, with sunlight streaming through the pastel-themed windows and falling onto Ciel I's face. She stirs, wondering aloud if Rai slept well enough. What could she possibly prepare for breakfast? Inspired, she decides to ask him herself. Adorned in her flowing red and white gown, she strides down the corridor, feeling the soft fabric billow around her. Suddenly, a butler appears, shouting for her attention, causing her to halt in her tracks. He approaches her with urgency, explaining that an important letter has arrived from the south, sent by the Marquis. Ciel I's heart races as she glances at the letter, and when she sees the familiar handwriting, she gasps, realizing it's from her father. Her emotions take a nosedive as she reads that he is on his way back with Elizabeth in tow. If she doesn't reorganize her relationship with Count Esset, the letter warns, she could lose everything, including her place in the Empire. If you're eager for the next chapter, drop a comment expressing your interest in a part 3. Don't forget to subscribe and ensure to hit the notification bell to stay updated. Until next time.